Saturn is the planet associated with fate, time, and death. As the farthest planet from our world, it was seen as the boundary point. Beyond Saturn was chaos. However, Rabbi Dobin in Kabbalistic astrology explains that because it was the furthest planet from us, Saturn was considered the messenger of God, who, in the Kabbalistic perspective, is not within creation, but retreated from us to give us space to develop. In the Narnia series, the book devoted to Saturn is the last battle, where the inevitable end of Narnia occurs. Strangely, Saturn is seen as the ruler of the previous Golden Age. Indeed, the Age of Aquarius, another ruled by Saturn, is prophesied as a future Golden Age. C.S. Lewis even wrote a poem about the Golden Age as a probable school assignment, where he translated it from Latin into his own style. Alas, what happy days were those, when Saturn ruled a peaceful race, or yet the foolish mortals chose, with roads to track the world's broad face. Most astrologers probably wouldn't think Saturn rule could be happy, yet golden ages are associated with Saturn. Here's a stanza from Virgil that Lewis translated. The great procession of ages begins anew. Now the Virgin returns, the reign of Saturn returns, and the new child is sent down from high heavens. Page 191, Planet Narnia. In Planet Narnia, Michael Ward describes Saturn in the last battle this way. But once the imagery has moved from the ends to beginnings, Saturn is no longer the sole presiding planet. Saturn helps focus the imagination upon the beginning, which is to be found in the end of life. He wonderfully concentrates the mind. Page 207. Dobin in Kabbalistic astrology describes Saturn as Saturn is cold and dry, denoting death and destruction, weeping and grief, and all ancient things. Page 73. We can learn more if we look to the two signs that Saturn rules, Capricorn and Aquarius, that are back-to-back in winter. From December 22nd to February 19th, Saturn is the ruling planet. The tarot card for Capricorn is the Devil card, and the tarot card for Aquarius is the Star. However, Saturn is involved in two other cards. The first appearance of Saturn is in the Emperor card, and final in the World card. Paul Foster Case explains. The globe in the monarch's left hand is the conventional symbol of dominion. It is red, color of Mars, and on it is an inverted gold T-square. The square is a symbol for the use of mathematics and geometry and planning because it is shaped like a letter T. It is in correspondence with Tav, the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet, to which Saturn is assigned. What this hints is that the order and dominion exercised by the emperor bring about an inversion or reversal of the Saturnine power of limitation. Right definition is sort of a limitation, which sets us free from slavery to circumstances, because it enables us, through right knowledge, to establish new boundaries, to enlarge our horizons. Page 71. We find Saturn mentioned again with the T showing up in the Chariot card. On the square at the center of the charioteer's armor is a square with 3 black T's. They stand for the limiting power of Saturn and the Hebrew letter Tav. The square itself, Paul Foster Case says, represents order and purity. In many ways, by being the outer planet of our solar system, Saturn is said to bring order. Through limitation, Saturn brings order out of chaos by providing a shape to the galaxy. Although Capricorn is ruled by Saturn and the Devil card belongs to the tarot sign, Saturn is only mentioned once regarding the uplifted hand of the Devil. On the palm of this uplifted hand is outlined the astrological symbol for the planet Saturn. Page 164. Keep in mind, Case explains this tarot key as, this picture represents the first stage of spiritual unfoldment. It is the stage of conscious bondage. Devils personifies the false conception that man is bound by material conditions, the false notion that he is a slave to necessity, a sport to chance. Page 165. In other words, the Devil card depicts most people who believe that this world is all that exists. The people who believe in you only live once, and so there is no reason not to get drunk or destructive. Here Saturn is ruling over the ignorant. The Star card is the card for Aquarius, but no references to the Devil is made. Here we find the third card of the Path of the Seeker. This is a card of meditation, and once again reminds us that concentration is an attribute of Saturn. Finally, we have Tav on the World card. Saturn is the planet corresponding to Tav. He represents that which absorbs its own expressions back into itself. Rulership of Aquarius, and is the ruler of Capricorn. Saturn is exalted in Libra. It is the planet of inertia, concreteness, profundity, weight. Thus we have here a power which is active in meditation, which is the source of those apparent limitations which make us seek a way of escape from bondage, and which is expressed in the equilibrated action symbolized by justice. Page 206. Paul Foster Case goes on to explain that Saturn's color is indigo blue, violet, and its musical tone is A natural. So we find Saturn in several cards, but not the ones most might imagine. Two of the best cards, the Star and the World, which represents enlightenment and the end of the path of the seeker, are connected to Saturn. Now, Lead explains this strange phenomenon that Saturn is the first card of the path of the seeker and the last. D.W. Huck explains, according to alchemical philosophy, it is up to mankind to return to Saturn to redeem the planet and complete its transformation into light. But the star into which Saturn will transform will be completely new matter on a higher level reality that has yet been achieved in our galaxy. Page 98. Let's move on to Saturn's metal, lead. Lead is poisonous. Lead destroys light, as D.W. Huck points out. It was added to high-quality glassware to absorb light reflections and make glass clearer. Page 128. Lead is also very bad at conducting electricity. In fact, lead absorbs energy, which is why it's such a great insulator, for everything from sound to X-rays to any form of radiation. Lead is also slow to decay. Rome still has ancient lead pipes conducting their water, put in place by the ancients. One of the reasons is that it does not react to water. According to D.W. Huck, lead reacts with more chemicals than any other metal. However, instead of producing something new and useful, lead kills the combining substance by making it inert, insoluble, and unable to enter into further chemical reactions. While all this makes lead sound very dark, there is a secret in lead. Fire, Huck explains, is the lord over lead. Lead salts, the result of crushing and burning lead, according to Huck, reveal a whole rainbow of brilliant colors, with the solar colors of yellow, orange, and red. Further, Huck explains that finely divided lead powder easily catches fire or erupts spontaneously into flames, and burns down to a bright yellow ash. So the wonder of lead is hidden deep inside the gray, dead metal, is a tiny eternal spark that is the seed of its own resurrection. That tiny spark of light in the darkest part of matter makes resurrection part of the structure of the universe. Page 131. Finally, let's look at the Hebrew letter Tav, the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet that is associated with Saturn. I made an entire video on the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet and the many hidden and spiteful meanings. I will place a link to that in the description box below. Since this is the letter assigned to Saturn, it is not surprising that Tav starts the words Tikkun and Teshuvah. Tikkun means to rectify or redeem, to make whole. Teshuvah means repentance and return to source. There's a fantastic quote by Edward Hoffman that I must share here too, since it is a reflection of the work to which alchemy alludes. According to Rabbi Isaac Luria, shards of the divine fell into the world of matter, and it is the task of each person to redeem or liberate the sacred heart that lies within everything. Whether we call it a hidden divine spark or star, it is that within Saturn that we are raising the vibration of in alchemy. Alchemist Frater Albertus in the Alchemist's Handbook defines alchemy as raising the vibrations. By raising the vibration of lead or Saturn, which is the basis of metals within ourselves, it contributes to everyone being capable of doing the same. Some say that alchemists that have reached that point are capable of raising the vibration of all things around them simply with their presence. Lead, being a mineral, after all, is said to have been formed first, both in the Jewish tradition and within the indigenous tradition, and therefore closer in nature to the divine force. Lastly, Dennis William Huck states that lead is feminine in nature, that it is assigned to the root chakra, and a stone to work with is garnet. This ties to other symbols that I covered in my video on fixation. Just as we always start with salt and return to salt, as D.W. Huck shares in his book, The Sorcerer's Stone, A Beginner's Guide to Alchemy, so too do we start with Saturn and end with Saturn. In the tarot, it is the subconscious that is assigned to the feminine archetype. Saturn, then, would also be tied to the lunar qualities that are also feminine in nature. The moon would be an evolved form for Saturn, and Neptune an even more evolved form. This makes sense in that Saturn represents the first stage of alchemy. This is called the black stage, or agrio. This is where the soul is trapped in physical material reality, not daring to believe that there could be more. Yet Saturn's hidden fire, the Shakti or Kundalini, can be released. Then it becomes more like the moon working with the natural laws, and flows to the galaxy instead of resisting or being ignorant of them. Finally, there is the enigmatic Neptune, which is the ruler of Pisces. Pisces is a zodiac sign that represents oneness. Pisces is a sign of oneness. When we elevate that inner spark, we return to the ocean of oneness, not as another fish or of the sea, but a cognizant and aware soul. There may even be a larger picture than redeeming the inner stars here on Earth. A return to oneness may even change that state of beingness, launching everything into a new stage of evolution. Yet many remain with a lead in mind here on Earth. D.W. Huck describes such people as dependable, but on the psychological level, lead is symbolic of a person's inertness and willingness to change. There is a denial of all higher or spiritual energies. A feeling of being trapped in material reality is symptomatic of a leaden attitude. Finally, the symbol for Saturn and for lead is the cross of elements with a lunar crescent below, symbolizing entrapment in matter. Well, that is all that I have for you today. I feel that was a lot of information. I hope you enjoyed this examination of one of the most fascinating planets without the personification of it being a god. To me, it is a more pure method of relating to this powerful force in our galaxy.